Heyo, and what is up, gang? Thank you for checking out Sledgehammer TV tonight. And despite giving us two very good Money in the Bank ladder matches, two tremendous heavyweight championship bouts, and a rather interesting turn of events in the women's division, Vince McMahon still finds a way to get me to come on here and tell you guys that I fucking hated Money in the Bank, and we are going to talk about it. Everything wrong with tonight's Money in the Bank pay-per-view right here and right now. My name is Nick Nightmare, and you are watching the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show's Money in the Bank 2019 review. Oh, you bastard. Let's do it.
Sledgehammer Wrestling Show.
When I sat down tonight to watch this pay-per-view, I had extremely low expectations, as we usually do when we sit down to watch any WWE event. 11 matches we were going to have to be put through, most of which were unnecessary. And once we put all of that unnecessary bullshit to the side, this, like I said in the preview show, was a very decent show. The championship matches were great. Both ladder matches from the women and the men were fantastic. And by the end of this night, I didn't find myself thinking about Game of Thrones and what I was missing anymore. I was invested and I was enthralled almost by the main event tonight in the men's Money in the Bank ladder match. 7 men out there absolutely destroying themselves for the possibility to pull down that Money in the Bank contract and guarantee themselves a shot at the World Heavyweight Championship of their choosing somewhere down the line. I can tell you that one thing that did not cross my mind at all was Brock fucking Lesnar. No, I know he just signed some big beefy new fucking contract to ensure that he is going to torture us going forward for however many fucking years to come. But this is one of the most unexpected things to come out of left field for me that has ever happened. Anything can happen in the WWE, but this is not the kind of fucking thing we wanted to see happen. This totally fits with the MO of one absolutely psychotic and demented Vince McMahon who thinks this was the right decision. You got Randy Orton out there. You got Ali out there killing himself. Ricochet's out there killing himself. Andrade Cien Almas making his fucking presence felt in tonight's Money in the Bank ladder match. Damn, even Baron Corbin at points was impressive. How about that? How about hearing that on this channel? Holy shit. The only reason I'm even saying that is because we had fucking Brock Lesnar come out at the end of this match after all the damage was done, not take one fucking bump, not be announced. And I understand you don't want to announce that because you wanted the element of surprise. But at some point during the show, maybe Vince or Shane or Stephanie, as much as I don't want to see them, should come out and be like, listen, we have a replacement. We have a replacement. It's not going to be 7 men. It's still going to be 8 men. We have a replacement, and it's going to be a surprise. But instead, we have no real, solidification that this is even going to happen going into this matchup. We're sitting there thinking we got these 7 guys, and if you were going to give us a surprise, Brock Lesnar was not it. This man walking around with the Money in the Bank briefcase is like having a gun to the head of every WWE fan that is sitting watching around the world. The last thing any of us wants is another Brock Lesnar title reign. I don't give a shit where it ends up. And I can see the writing on the wall. I'm not fucking stupid. This is Vince McMahon's clever plan to get the WWE Championship off the waist of Kofi Kingston and around the waist of the Beast Brock Lesnar by the time SmackDown Live moves to Fox. And where does that leave us, ladies and gentlemen? Whose yard is SmackDown Live's now? Are we really going to go back down the road of Roman Reigns on SmackDown Live versus Brock Lesnar again for the WWE Championship this time? I'm already signing out. I absolutely do not care. When you see the amount of effort and the amount of talent that was put on display tonight in that Money in the Bank ladder match, for them to go this way and give it to this man again is an absolute crime. It is a sin. An ultimate sin that Vince McMahon has committed to every single man that was in that ring tonight, and I'm including Constable Dickhead. Even he deserved better than to have this match only to have some fucking part-time guy who's making $2 million fucking dollars a year, whatever it is, come out of left field, steal the Money in the Bank briefcase with no explanation, and now all of their effort was for nothing. Just like, it's like a perfect metaphor for each and every one of their careers. They've built themselves up to a certain point to get noticed by the WWE. They get signed by the WWE, and they are so close to reaching that brass ring to pull it down and become one of the next big things, only to be fucking extinguished at the last minute by some Vince McMahon fucking idea. Because he thinks Brock Lesnar equals ratings. The ratings are in the tank. You think this is going to be the thing to spike it back up to the top? You don't think having more matches like the match we had with AJ and Seth, you don't think doing more things like that are going to help spike the ratings? You don't think having more meaningful championship matches that actually felt good to watch despite the crowd reaction in Kofi Kingston and Kevin Owens, you don't think that'll help? You think Brock Lesnar's the fucking answer? You have the balls tonight to introduce some of the fucking matches on the Super Showdown. And we all knew about The Undertaker and Bill Goldberg. The Battle of the fucking Dinosaurs. And then you're gonna book Triple H and Randy Orton. You're gonna book a match from fucking 17 years ago. This is the type of show you want to say is bigger and better than a WrestleMania? This is what Vince McMahon thinks we want. You wonder why the fans revolt. You wonder why we have people here like me and others that say the same thing that I say, who have no choice but to just shit all over this show. Because regardless of the talent that was put forth, when Brock Lesnar pulled down that briefcase, the direction of this company is automatically the wrong direction. And I don't understand how anybody can think that this is the right way to go. Have they been fucking blind for the last 5 years? Have they been deaf? Have they not been hearing it? Or did Vince McMahon and his stupid family really come out in December, promise us fresh new ideas and that they're listening to the fucking audience only to give us the same exact shit year after year after year? This is unacceptable. This is inexcusable. And it made me hate this pay-per-view. A pay-per-view that, for the most part, was rather enjoyable from a wrestling standpoint. The pre-show. Let's go down this fucking card so I can get out of here and watch Game of Thrones, which is probably going to disappoint me just as much as this pay-per-view as well. And you'll be able to see that later on this channel if you're into the Game of Thrones reviews that we do here as well. The SmackDown Tag Team Championships, Daniel Bryan and Eric Rowan, were not on the line, unlike what I believe to be the case when I did my preview and predictions. I thought this was a championship match because that seemed to be the only, at least logical explanation to have this matchup between these two. But instead, we have clear as day 50-50 booking. You got the Usos, who have just come to Monday Night Raw in the shake-up, the meaningless shake-up, to be back on SmackDown Live every single week since they've come to Monday Night Raw. They have already lost to the Tag Team Champions in a championship title defense. They have been in a 6-man tag with their cousin, the Big Dog, against Daniel Bryan and Eric Rowan on SmackDown Live. And now we have this pre-show matchup that was not for a championship, where the Usos beat the champions. The Usos from Raw beat the champions on SmackDown Live, and now they're sitting out on social media going, oh, well, we're getting a shot at the championships. How does this make sense? And they want to go, well, the wild card rule is shaking everything up. It's making everything... Get the fuck out of here. It's making everything a jumbled, confusing mess. That's what it's making things, Michael Cole. You blithering fucking idiot. These guys have a hard time even explaining what's happening around them because it's probably changing in real time. As we are sitting there watching things unfold, these people are getting the news as it happens and have no idea how to even fucking relay it to us. That happened multiple times on this night. This tag team match for the pre-show was actually, again, from a wrestling standpoint, very good. The meaning behind it, the booking of it was fucking ridiculous, but we did get some very good action. Even Eric Rowan was showing some very good, impressive feats of strength in this matchup. A solid tag team matchup. Pre-show means it doesn't count, so why should they even get a championship match? Because according to pre-show rules, this match didn't happen. Right? Didn't matter on the Survivor Series card. Why should it matter now? In any case, the Usos beat the SmackDown Tag Team Champions. Where this is leading, I don't fucking know. I don't know where anything is leading anymore. We started off the show with the women's Money in the Bank ladder match. Natalya, Dana Brooke, Naomi, Nikki Cross replacing Alexa Bliss. Bliss is the proper way to probably say her name. Mandy Rose, Bayley, Ember Moon, and Carmella. And this match kicked off this pay-per-view in the right way. They had a good momentum in this matchup. It had a very good balance of action and drama, and the girls really did a great fucking job. Everybody had their moment to shine. Even the human sausage Dana Brooke, can you believe I'm saying that? Even she impressed me tonight. Way more than she impressed me by just flopping off the top of a ladder on Monday night. She was hanging, dangling from the top of the ladder, holding on for dear life to the Money in the Bank briefcase, swinging up there like a bag of trash. But she was very impressive. Everybody, even Mandy Rose, despite having injured Carmella, which I don't think was legit. I think this was a written spot. Carmella was visibly saying, "Get away from me," after there was some sort of a supposed miscommunication. Carmella hurt her leg, was brought to the back, and was gone for a majority of the match. She did come back later on, which is another reason I believe this whole thing was a work, and she was never really injured by Mandy Rose, so everybody take it easy on Mandy Rose. You know, I'm not a defender of Mandy Rose by any means, but I believe this was all part of the act, as wrestling is famously known to be. Natalya was very good. Nikki Cross, I thought if, at the very least, if she wasn't going to win this match, Nikki Cross would at least be able to get over, and I believe she did just that by being her crazy Nikki Cross self, airplane spinning with the ladder around her head, just knocking out everybody, doing crazy things throughout the entirety of this matchup. She would end up pretty much being a non-factor in the finish, but the finish of this match is really what it's all about, and I thought the finish, as it pertained to the majority of the match, was kind of anticlimactic. You had Sonya Deville come out there to help Mandy Rose. Now, I hate when people that are not in the Money in the Bank have something to do, or try to have something to do with the outcome of the Money in the Bank ladder match. It's something they've done many times over the years. It's not like a recent thing that they do, but it's the way that they go about doing things that just, I don't enjoy. So Sonya comes out there, she puts Mandy Rose on her shoulders and starts climbing up to the top of the ladder, trying to get her to get to the briefcase and, I guess, keep anybody from getting her off the ladder. She would fail in this attempt as Bayley would come out of nowhere as Mandy Rose was just inches away from the briefcase, end up having a pretty weird and awkward stare down for a minute before pushing both girls down on the other side of the ladder to the mat, reaching up and securing the briefcase, which is a double-edged sword if you ask me. While in the field of competitors, my pick to win this thing was either Ember Moon or Naomi. That's who I thought was going to be this year's Money in the Bank for the women. That was not the case, as Bayley in the Bank is what we had by the end of this night. And it did make sense, you know, considering what was about to happen before the Women's Championship situation was settled on this night. But I feel like this was intentionally done to spite Sasha Banks, maybe? I don't know if I'm reading too much into it. Or maybe this was done as a way to appease Sasha Banks and say, look, we gave the championship to your buddy. Can you please calm down and come back to work, and maybe we'll give you a championship too. Or maybe they were coming at her with a big middle finger like, yeah, this could have been you, stupid, but you wanted to walk out and be fucking big mouth. We're not really going to know one way or the other, but you could speculate for yourself which side of the coin you think the WWE was coming down on. Would they be that petty as to do it intentionally to spite her? Absolutely they would. I believe they would. But it could also be almost like an olive branch of sorts that they're just putting out there into the world for Sasha Banks to see and maybe have a change of heart when coming to the table to renegotiate in the futures. And the fact that they brought Sasha Banks up at the end of this thing is what really set most people off, because Bayley just won the Money in the Bank, and you got Charlie Caruso in the ring talking about, oh, well, we know that you and Sasha were instrumental in this and that and the tag team champions and Sasha. And then the first sentence out of Bayley's mouth is, yeah, Sasha, blah, I'm so proud, I'm sure she's proud, and blah, blah, blah. What the fuck are we talking about Sasha for? Right off the bat, you should have been talking immediately about Bayley and her Money in the Bank contract and what are your plans, but instead we're talking about, oh, Sasha. What the fuck? I think they're reaching out. That's what I really think they're doing. After this match, we see Triple H on the phone backstage. Sami Zayn comes in complaining about Strowman about to show up and ruin things. Triple H reassures him that Braun Strowman has been banned from the building. Only for minutes later for us to see Braun Strowman walking around backstage throwing shit around. So I don't know if they had the sequence of filming off or whatever, but it made Triple H seem like a dumbass. Didn't it? It's like, no, I had him barred from the building, which we all knew we were going to see Braun Strowman before the end of the night anyway. But this was really just kind of stupid. We didn't need to see him tell Sami Zayn, well, you want protection, you can just tape up your fist, buddy. It was like, stupid. It's just a waste of fucking time. Another thing that I did not enjoy, but I don't know if this was intentionally the way things were supposed to go, because for the first time tonight, we have some very confusing officiating, some very sketchy officiating, as the referees tonight were all over the place and very inaccurate on multiple occasions. This was one that stood out like a sore thumb, and I don't know if this was a case of somebody getting injured and them having to go home before they were supposed to, or if the referee just absolutely fucked this up. And I'm going to lean more towards the first part, and I think the fact that Samoa Joe seemingly had his nose broken very early in this matchup, accidentally with a shot from Rey Mysterio, caused this matchup to have a little bit of confusion and maybe just had to be sent to the finish very quickly, which caused the referee to just count to 3, regardless of the fact that Samoa Joe's left shoulder was about 2 feet off the mat. And even the leverage that Rey had, there was no way that you could see that the body was flat. Like, the body was definitely not flat on the mat. The referee was on the opposite side. It's very possible that he was just in the wrong position. It's very possible that he called this 3 count just to finish the matchup to get Joe some medical attention. But then they did go on and do a post-match segment where Dominic would come out. Joe would continue his relentless attack on Rey Mysterio, who was now the new United States champion, due to this weird finish of the match, and started to destroy Rey Mysterio a little bit more in the face of Dominic, and he was staring down Rey Mysterio's son as if to say, I don't know, you're next, or I'm doing this to your father and there's nothing you can do about it, which was absolutely beast from Samoa Joe, and it was a good way to end this. But I don't understand, if not for the broken nose maybe, why Rey Mysterio won this matchup. I don't think this is the way it was supposed to go down, and if it was, what a fucking middle finger to Samoa Joe. Now, on top of having to lose the match to Rey Mysterio in the first place, he has a broken nose for his trouble. And who knows when we will see Joe back in the ring, and if this feud is going to continue one way or the other, only time will tell there. This was a very short match, and it was a little bit shocking, but a lot less spectacular than I had hoped. I thought this was going to be a somewhat show-stealing match. after this match is when we see Brown Spray Tan running around backstage on a rampage looking for Sami Zayn, which amounted to nothing at this point. We go to the worst steel cage match of all time. And I'm not saying this because coming into this matchup, I absolutely had no interest in this matchup, and I did not give a shit about anything going on with The Miz or Shane McMahon. It has nothing to do with that. It has everything to do with the fact that this cage match was a fucking disaster. It was a disaster from the word go. It was uninteresting. It was just very, very standard. A very basic steel cage matchup. And then you have the finish, which is what made it worst of all. The Miz and Shane McMahon are on the top of the cage. Shane McMahon is on the outside holding on for his life as The Miz is holding Shane McMahon up supposedly from the inside of the cage. And The Miz drops Shane McMahon. He dropped him. Or let him go from the top, and Shane McMahon wins. We get no finality for The Miz. We get no revenge, no comeuppance for Shane McMahon. That's what a steel cage is supposed to be booked for. To put a feud to an end. It's not supposed to be a pit stop along the way to SummerSlam. A meaningless, useless stipulation. A waste of everybody's time that did not need to go down. Just an embarrassing showing for The Miz. How dumb can you make the guy look? How many times have we seen two competitors at the top of the cage holding each other up there, their feet fucking swinging like a pendulum up at the top? And The Miz isn't strong enough to hold up 40-something-year-old Shane McStuntman? Does a coast-to-coast inside the fucking steel cage. That's his biggest thing that he did all night. It's the only thing that he ever does, and I'm supposed to give a shit. Oh, Shane McMahon fell from the top of the cage. No, he didn't. He was dropped gently by The Miz. Are you kidding me? Fuck this steel cage match. Shane McMahon wins. This whole thing with The Miz is far from over, and it absolutely makes me sick. Sick to my stomach. I could care less about anything else that happens between these two, and it's going to keep happening, everybody, so get ready, because here comes more. More of what we don't want. Just like fucking Brock. We go backstage to Sami Zayn hanging upside down. He's just hanging upside down somewhere. Triple H and the crew push the camera away from the backstage area. They don't want the cameras catching this, and they want him to be cut down. Who could have possibly done this? We get an announcement that Mick Foley's going to announce a new championship tomorrow night on Raw. Do you give a fuck? What happened the last time they announced a new championship? Oh, we're going to have women's tag team champions. Blah. What did they do for that? And what do you think it's going to be? Why else would it be Mick Foley making the announcement? Oh, I wonder what championship it's going to be. It's got to be the European title, right? No, moron. Unless only half your brain is working, you have every reason to believe that Mick Foley's coming to Raw tomorrow night to bring back the Hardcore Championship. And I'm asking you guys why. It's not that I'm not for some hardcore wrestling. It's something that has been missing from the WWE, that little bit of a hardcore edge, that little bit of attitude era that everybody wants back. But they're not allowed to bleed. They're not allowed to go out there and bleed on screen. They get fined. Things get put into black and white when they make it into the replay package and things of that nature. You're not supposed to bleed. How hardcore can you get if you're not allowed to bleed? You're not allowed to take headshots with the chair. There's so many things that you're not allowed to do that makes a hardcore division about as useful as a turd sandwich. Bite it if you must, but I think it's going to taste like shit. No matter who fucking serves it to you. It could be Mick Foley, it could be Terry Funk, it could be Sabu. Doesn't matter who shows it to you. I don't think it's going to be anything near as important as most people are making it out to be. A Cruiserweight Championship match that was very entertaining, but I still maintain that the fact that this match made it to a main card, I appreciate them trying or doing that, but when you had a champion that was actually top-notch, 5-star type championship matches in Buddy Murphy, who was relegated to the pre-show for the most part of his run, And then you give us Tony Nese versus Arya Daivari. No disrespect to either of these guys. Arya Daivari, despite all of his blandness, was very impressive in this match tonight. Tony Nese can fucking wrestle. The guy is great. He's really great. He's just boring. He's about as boring as white wallpaper. There's nothing to him that gets me excited. His wrestling ability is the only thing that makes me sit there and get through these matches. But as a character, Tony Nese does nothing for me. Buddy Murphy had something about him. And he was not ever put, or barely ever put, on the main show. But this match makes it to the main show. If you should have definitely flip-flopped this for the tag team matchup. And this would have been the one time where I would have been, yeah, okay, well, the Cruiserweight Championship match is on the pre-show. But in this case, it might have deserved to be there. And again, I'm not trying to be disrespectful. It's just the crowd wasn't into it. There were AEW chants during this matchup. I heard it. I don't know if you heard it, but I heard it. There were slight chants of boring ringing out throughout the entirety of the matchup until they got almost towards the finish, where the crowd kind of got into it towards the end. And I think they only cheered more for the fact that the match was over than for the fact that Tony Nese retained the Cruiserweight Championship. Triple H is backstage with Braun Strowman. He tells Braun he gets what he's doing, but he's not going to be the one taking Sammy's spot in the Money in the Bank ladder match. Braun says he doesn't know what Triple H is talking about. So apparently Braun Strowman didn't do this to Sami Zayn if he's the one telling you the story. Triple H isn't buying Braun's bullshit and says that he's not going to have Braun removed from the building. He's not going to call the cops or anything, but he wants to do this as a professional, and as his boss, he's asking him to leave. Braun Strowman says, whatever, man, and walks off, because that's what a monster would do. And that's the end of Braun Strowman's night at Money in the Bank. I thought for sure we were going to see him again. That was certainly not the case. It only was made much worse from there. The announce team says Sami Zayn has been taken to a local medical facility and will not be in tonight's Money in the Bank ladder match. There is no word on his replacement, but it will definitely not be Braun Strowman. And then they told us that it was just going to be a match of 7. That's what they said. So the 8th man was now a non-factor. Now we get down to the women. Once again, the Raw Women's title match, Lacey Evans versus Becky Lynch. And I'm going to give credit where credit is due. Lacey Evans was a lot more impressive than I give her credit for. She definitely showed up to fight tonight. There was a few little botchy moments, like that springboard neckbreaker from the second rope that she almost didn't hit. But for the most part, she hung in there with Becky Lynch. This was a decent match. It wasn't the greatest women's match I've ever seen, but it definitely wasn't the dumpster fire I was expecting. And what made it even more interesting is the fact that they went from Becky Lynch successfully defending the Raw Women's Championship immediately into her match with Charlotte Flair. Now, my immediate thought when this went down was that we are going to see a Money in the Bank cash-in tonight. And I thought for one fleeting second that Becky Lynch was going to be successful in both her attempts, only to have Bayley cash in on her. But that, unfortunately, would not be the case. The SmackDown Women's title match, again, was a very evenly fought matchup between two very familiar opponents, Charlotte Flair and Becky Lynch. Gave you a very Charlotte Flair and Becky Lynch matchup, and it was close at times and was pretty one-sided to a point because Charlotte Flair was taking advantage of Becky Lynch already having competed. But then the biggest advantage she would have would be the fact that the lady, the Sassy Southern Belle, would come out and bam, bam, Becky Lynch right in the face with the woman's right, giving Flair the advantage and getting her with the big boot and the pin for the win of the SmackDown Women's title. The two Charlottes would then continue to beat down the man, who is now no longer Becky Two Belts, and is still only the Raw Women's Champion. And we have Bayley come down with her Bayley in the Bank briefcase, and she came to even the odds, which she definitely did, and then found herself in the ring with her choice of Becky or Charlotte Flair, and made the choice of Charlotte Flair and ended Charlotte Flair's 9th championship reign within minutes of it beginning by cashing in her Money in the Bank briefcase. This, once again, was another case of inadequacy with the referee, and I'm not one of these guys that agrees with Corey Graves very much, but the guy had a valid point, which is every time the Money in the Bank has been cashed in, regardless of the condition of the champion, they have to raise themselves to their feet in order for the bell to ring, or else the champion is not ready to compete. This is somewhat unprecedented, as even if you can go back to every Money in the Bank cash-in, you will see nobody was ever cashed in while they were completely unconscious on the mat. Every time the referee would start the match, the guy would get, or lady would get to her feet, and then the bell would ring. They would suffer one sort of big move or whatever, and then the cash-in would take place. This was very odd, that they would just go forward with Charlotte Flair just laying on her back the whole time. I don't know if they did this intentionally to give Charlotte Flair a caveat out of losing the title under fair means with the Money in the Bank briefcase, giving her a reason to be able to complain. But we'll have to see where they go. In any case, Bayley ends the night cashing in her Money in the Bank briefcase. She is our new SmackDown Live Women's Champion. Becky Lynch remains the Raw Women's Champion. And on we go with 2 separate women's divisions. And do you think they're going to do anything interesting with them? I certainly don't. Hopefully this is a new start for Bayley, a fresh start for Bayley, and they can do something interesting with her and stop making her such a boring, bland character and let her branch out and do something else. Becky Lynch will benefit from this only because she will not be overexposed to the point that she has been since WrestleMania, and this Becky 2 belts thing finally is over and she can focus on one show and one opponent, and we won't be getting tired of seeing Becky Lynch that much anymore. We will, however, continue to be tired of seeing Roman Reigns. I don't give a shit if he gets blasted in the back with 25 guitars previous to the matchup. I don't care if you want to give me an Elias concert with an electric guitar. This was nothing more than a Raw segment forced onto us during a pay-per-view. And it's not the first one. I mean, it's not the last one we will have. It's the first of 2 segments that belonged on Monday Night Raw because they were big, heaping piles of trash. The only thing I will consider positive about this Roman Reigns experience is the fact that once the big dog came out, it was short and sweet. He exacted his vengeance on Elias. The bell rings. Roman immediately hits the spear and covers the man for the win. Elias continues to be a walking, talking joke. You can walk with him if you want to be considered a clown. I used to want to walk with Elias. Now I just want him to walk the fuck away. Roman Reigns winning the most unnecessary and unneeded match on the card. The WWE Universal title match, AJ Styles versus Seth Rollins, was absolutely fantastic. It was a beautiful, well-orchestrated matchup, high drama, high stakes, high impacts from both of these guys. I don't think I could have scripted it any better. The only thing I can hope is that this is only the beginning. This is the type of matchup and the type of wrestling that wrestling fans want to see. 2 guys that understand how to wrestle, wrestling chemistry, wrestling storytelling at its finest was put on display in this match. These guys came at each other with everything that they had, and they left their entire soul out there on the mat. If you do nothing else this year, you have to check out what I am calling the best main roster matchup we have had in the WWE all year. AJ Styles looking to build the new house for himself on Monday Night Raw, but the architect had some different plans drawn up in his blueprints as he was able to burn down AJ Styles' home before it could even have its foundations built. This match was back and forth. There were multiple times that I thought AJ Styles was going to best Seth Rollins on this night, but it just was not meant to be. And this match was so nice. I hope that we see it more than twice forward from here. But let's not do it again on Raw. You know, let's keep it special. Let's make this continue on. I liked the way that they finished this matchup, still being respectful to one another right now. And now comes a time where you can build an interesting story on how one of these guys turned to the dark side, hopefully AJ Styles. Maybe he gets himself a little bit of a crew together and he starts running shit on Monday Night Raw, being a thorn in the side of Seth Rollins going forward, leading us into SummerSlam where we can have this match again, only for the second time, and let them burn the house down at SummerSlam as well. These guys fucking killed it tonight. Absolutely killed it. And I loved it. It's one of the reasons why I watch wrestling. You go, well, if you hate WWE, why do you watch it so much? Because every once in a while, you get a match like this. Counter after counter. Aerial maneuvers, ground holds, submission. They ran the gamut of everything you could do in a wrestling match and did it to perfection. Seth Rollins retains the Universal Championship. After this matchup, we would go immediately to the WWE Championship. For the first time in I don't know how long, the WWE Championship is getting top billing over the Universal Championship, and this might be one of the times where you might not have wanted to do that, because the only bad thing about this matchup is that it came immediately following such a great Universal Championship match, which is something we're not accustomed to anyway, but it was very hard to come down off of that and truly invest myself into Kevin Owens versus Kofi Kingston. But these guys, to their credit, pulled me into this match as well. They definitely had me on the edge of my seat towards the end. I thought, again, multiple times, Kevin Owens was going to wrestle away the WWE Championship from the hands of Kofi Kingston. But Kofi Kingston, in a performance that can do nothing but shut up all the doubters and everybody that says Kofi Kingston is nothing more than a transitional champion or he's a charity case champion. Kofi Kingston needed a big win. He got one over Kevin Owens tonight. And I thought for a minute, I don't know about you guys, but I thought for a minute when Xavier Woods was coming out there to celebrate at the end of this matchup that he was going to turn on Kofi. For some reason, I just had this weird vibe. Like he was just giving off something to me that I thought that Woods was going to turn on his boy. But that was not it. Thankfully so, because I don't know if I could have handled that one right now. It would be interesting, but I think that's something that we would see coming more from Big E than Xavier. But let's save that topic for another day. Kevin Owens did everything he could, literally, to stop Kofi Kingston, but that would not be the case. Kofi Kingston comes out on top. He is still our WWE champion, but for how long? Do you think Brock Lesnar's first stop is going to be back on Monday Night Raw for the Universal Championship in a rematch with Seth Rollins? I certainly don't think so. Like I told you guys at the beginning of the show, this men's Money in the Bank ladder match was fucking great. I was enjoying the shit out of it. And then Vince does what Vince do, and he just sucked the air right out of the room. You could feel the souls of the fans leaving the arena the minute that fucking music hit. And Paul Heyman waddled his ass out there. Brock Lesnar ran out and just erased everything these guys did for the last 20 minutes in what was amounting to one of the best Money in the Bank ladder matches for the men's division that we have had in the last few years. Unforgivable. Unfucking real. I can't even. That all of the effort that Randy Orton put into tonight, everything that was done by Andrade, that sunset flip powerbomb on the ladder to Finn Balor through another ladder, Ricochet exploded through a steel ladder to the outside by Baron Corbin. Randy Orton sending 3 men into the announce table one at a time right at the beginning of this matchup. So many great spots. All of their effort, everything that they did. It's like Vince McMahon whipped out his cock and pissed on all 7 of them. Ha ha ha, I've got the beast back. Fuck you guys. Unfucking believable. Unforgivable. After the match, Brock Lesnar stands on the ladder holding the briefcase. His music hits. The crowd is in a state of shock. Bodies are everywhere. The 2019 Money in the Bank pay-per-view goes off the air with Lesnar laughing in our faces as he is the 2019 Mr. Beast in the Bank. And I could never be more disappointed. I was hoping that Baron Corbin wasn't going to win this thing. And just when you think you couldn't get worse, they one-up you and say, yeah, you're afraid of Baron Corbin winning this thing? You're afraid of Drew McIntyre winning this thing, you dumbass? Here, take this. Here's a beast up your ass. Enjoy it. Enjoy it, children, because he's here to stay. Thank you guys so very much for joining me for tonight's Money in the Bank review. This show was an emotional roller coaster because it bored me at points. At other points, it was very exciting. And it just ended with like a pin being put into a balloon and just immediately deflated everything good that I felt about tonight's show. But there you go. Everything wrong with tonight's Money in the Bank in a nutshell, brought to you by your good friends here at Sledgehammer TV. Thank every one of you for joining us here tonight. And now is the time where I invite each and every one of you to subscribe to this channel if you are not already one of the 1,400 plus that know when you want your wrestling and entertainment news bullshit free and with truth and justice, Sledgehammer TV is the place to be. It is your official home of the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show, which is the official home of the Sledgeheads, which you are probably one of. And I want to take a minute to say thank you to each and every one of you who make my day. Look forward to seeing every one of your comments down in the comments section below. I want to know what you guys thought about tonight's Money in the Bank and the shocking way that it went off the air before all was said and done. I can't wait to see what some of you guys have to say about it. Don't forget to smash that like button. Hit that thumbs up if you enjoyed today's show, if you agreed with anything I had to say, or you want to just show the world that you think I'm awesome. And I just love that clip, and I love that show, Big Mouth, and I'm going to keep using it because I feel like I am the man, and I think I am doing awesome, and that's the best way you guys can show me that I'm not out of my mind and that you believe the same to be true. So subscribe, hit that notification bell, smash that like button, and then share this video with each and every one of your wrestling buddies all over the wrestling world, especially if they were furious by the appearance of the Beast tonight at Money in the Bank. My name is Nick Nightmare. This is the Team Thor, the Sledgehammer, the official Sledgehammer of the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show. His tag team partner, the World Heavyweight Champion of all the microphones in all the world, Mr. Blue, the Snowball. The most important member of the team, as always, is each and every one of you. That, my friends, is going to do it. We are out of here, and it's time to watch Game of Thrones, and we will see you for that review, and we will see you all week long for Raw and SmackDown right here on your new favorite wrestling show, the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show, only on Sledgehammer TV, right here on YouTube.com. Fucking Vince!